That's everybody that we're expecting. You said that, okay, right. That's 1 o'clock, so I'll call ourselves to order. Can we get the approval of agenda, please? Okay, online, okay, perfect. We have to vote on, yeah, we do vote on that, right? Okay. All those in favor? Perfect. That's next. Okay, so moving on to number 3, disclosures of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Not seeing any, okay. At number 4, adoption of the board minutes from the previous meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that? Okay, and everybody. Okay. Any further discussion?
I was sorry to miss it. I'm sorry to miss a particular presentation from some from librarians.
Yeah. Passionate. Sounds like they had a really interesting time.
Yeah.
Yeah, learned lots, I think. Yeah. Thanks. Okay, all those in favor of adopting the board minutes? Okay, passed. All right, number 5, delegations and presentations. None. Number 6, consideration of correspondence. Okay. Number 7, reports. 7.1, 2025-1 key agenda items and policy review. Report.
So through you, Chair, this is the updated for 2025 list of key agenda items and policy review for us. You'll see I've moved our board evaluation to February. I still have a few outstanding and I will make sure I connect with those of you who are outstanding to get you get your pieces in so that can be completed. Otherwise, we're on a similar schedule as last year and when to anticipate items coming. I have our library facilities plan earmarked for the April meeting. We're anticipating that we should be reaching that goal with no problem. But if there are any delays, I'll bring those forward in February. So far, things are going according to plan. When we look at our policy review, we'll start some policy review at the next meeting. We'll have the elections policy come up first, so that we're prepared for anything forthcoming. And then moving on in our operational policies to our membership and circulation, our children's and teen services policy this spring. And we'll look at our local history policy in the summer and our diversity, equity, and inclusion policy in September. The Indigenous Awareness and Reconciliation Statement I have pushed all the way to November. However, the county is working on an Indigenous consultation plan that was approved in the 2025 budget. And we're looking to see if we can possibly link with the county on that for there to be any information that pertains to the library that we could then use to inform any policies or statements required for the library, or if we might just adopt what is done by the county in full. When we look at the governance policies, we'll look at the delegation of authority, municipal freedom of information and protection of privacy, planning and policy development for this year. And then from those county policies, our general policy manual, we'll be looking at section 8, the communications and technology area. And I've pushed that to November as well. And we'll bring forward any other policies that arise through the county that need to be approved by the board as they come along. Welcome any questions or comments.
Can you just, I think I know, but maybe you'll clarify difference between a policy and a statement?
Policy usually has a purpose and then items below it, working parts. The statement, I think it was more open to what, to certain areas. That's why we put through the reconciliation as a statement rather than a policy. At the time being when we were working on that was, we were required to have something for our reaccreditation process. So that's why we have that in place. Once the county goes through their policy, we likely would adopt whatever they bring forward. And then if we wanted, we could add, if there weren't any library specific pieces in the county general policy, then we could add something more that comes from the library board.
Any other questions? Those joining online, I don't want you to feel like you're missing out. Okay. Right, can we have a mover and a seconder that the library board receives verbal report 2025-01 key agenda items and policy review for information and discussion? Okay, online, in person, perfect. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? So moved. Okay, so we're moving on to 7.2, 2025-02 librarian report.
So through you, Chair. This is a quicker report for you on the state of library services. You'll look at the monthly statistics toward the December date, and I've included kind of those year-end pieces that are gathered at the same time. Branch attendance. We were negative in December. Looking back, we had a closure of 9 branches on December 5th due to weather events. The branches that did remain open have staff that live relatively close and were comfortable going into their branches for working. Then we also had the closure of over the holiday week, which when the holiday hit, it was hitting right in the middle of the week. That limited the amount of hours we could get around the holiday time period. We think that is likely partially why the numbers were low. Because they were pretty low across the board. I think there were only 2 branches that had positive attendance in December to speak of. We also know our Thamesford branch was on curbside pickup only for 1 day over the holiday period, which may have affected their numbers. I think their numbers were slightly lower as well. That could be affected. But overall for the year, we're at an increase of 7.8%. So a strong increase for year end, even with those December numbers being where they were. On the computer use side, we saw, again, lower numbers on our computer use in person. That would likely correspond with less branch attendance. And our wireless was up 10% overall. We know as well that we've got some areas, Norwich, Tavistock, and Thamesford, where we are seeing less computer use over the fall. That likely could be in those branches where they were heavy, where they do have some heavy users. It could be a singular person moving or getting their own PC that could shift those numbers negatively. It could also be the age of our computers and keeping up with demand in their ability to do the things that people are looking to do on the computers. And we're looking at correcting some of that in the time to come for this year and ongoing. So we'll see if that helps increase our computer use overall or bring back to Norwich, Tavistock, and Thamesford any usage. The Plattsville branch saw a significant drop in their Wi-Fi usage that began in September. We think that is likely due to the cell phone restrictions put in place in Ontario, so students are no longer able to connect when they're supposed to be in recess. Especially unique older students who have phones, they likely would have been connecting as well. So there would be that changes, or that beginning and end of when they're kind of waiting for school to start and waiting to get picked up, there might have been usage that they just are not taking them out of their backpacks any longer. As a parent of an older child, I can tell you that they almost like forget that it's there until they're on the bus. So perhaps that is why, again, that is correlation, but what we can think of as to why we're seeing that negative in Plattsville specifically. The Thamesford branch also saw a significant drop in their Wi-Fi usage in December, but again, they had lower usage. They also were on that curbside for a day. And we haven't verified the usage of the Beatty room exactly for outside groups, but we do believe it was a lower, there were lower numbers of usage of the Beatty room, which could be then less people connecting to our Wi-Fi potentially. On the circulation end, physical circulation, I should say. We really had a leveling out year. We ended up in December at -1% and then year end at -1%. I think we had such a significant increase in 2023 that we're likely looking at that kind of leveling off that would be expected. Most branches are up or down around 5% over 2023 for the year. So it is kind of that likely that leveling out. And we'll see what we continue to see going forward. Again, though, it should be noted, we had that negative attendance numbers, 13% or more in most locations. And yet our circulation still was up or down around 5%. So the people who are coming are still using a good chunk of material when they're coming in. We anticipate that 2025 will likely continue in that pattern. We'll see what Ox on the Run brings in terms of circulation, as they are recorded through these circulation statistics, as they bring on their hold stops in the new year. Our digital circulation continued on trend with a few negatives in audiobooks for the first time. And I think ebooks were down slightly as well. But staff will be reviewing 2024 and ongoing in 2025 for usage in potential areas to see if we need to revise our offerings for 2026 and look at the areas where we know people are using versus what they're not using any longer. Any questions so far before I move on out of statistics?
I had a question about the digital circulation. When I was looking at the statistics, it looks like it was in August that's when everything kind of changed. Is that when, because we had to change the budgeting. When did that happen?
That
Decrease the
started,
amount.
yeah, that started a little earlier on,
Okay.
but we probably did start to see, we adjusted a few times to be able to get within range of our budget. So August is probably likely when we start to see usage change a little bit. As well, we don't always sometimes see people using those services highly in summer unless they're using it for a trip they're going on. So catching up, coming back in August, people may have noticed the changes.
Right.
Moving on to community outreach, the Ox on the Run has had significant vehicle problems. They are off the road currently, again with a suspension issue. So they were off the road for most of December. I believe they missed a few of the Santa Claus parades again this year due to that. And then as of January 16th, the suspension issue, I'm not sure if it's a new suspension issue or if it is a returning suspension issue, but it is a suspension issue. So the vehicle is sagging on one side and unable to be driven. So they are looking at the potential for other vehicles to finish out the pilot project if needed. But right now they are using their own transportation. And then you might have seen, I think online, I noted that they had a social media post about being indoors, and that's because they're using their own vehicles and then charging back mileage rather than taking Ox on the Run totally off the road. They have started a hold pickup at, I believe, 4 locations after the positive hold pickup in Drumbo in the summer months. And hopefully we'll see positive responses from those as well. They are looking at that hold pickup as being one way to continue to offer services in winter whenever some of the outdoor or partnerships or outdoor events limit what they can do as well. It's not perfect timing for Ox on the Run to be off the road, but they have that opportunity to go indoors for these hold pickups, which makes this possible.
Just to note, vehicle issues are a regular thing, and that will be part of the assessment at the end, that without vehicle issues, things might have been different too, right?
I think we need to mark the
Somehow.
times when that was off the road and that
Yeah.
we can't anticipate what usage might have been, particularly when we're looking at this whole pickup. The pilot was just beginning in January. Not seeing the vehicle outside of those locations could limit how many people are coming through those doors. They do have flags and different things, but it's very different than seeing the broadside of the truck outside for usage. So I think that the sooner we can get a vehicle that we have some branding on back on the road, the better it would be for us to be able to make sure people are aware of the hold service in particular.
When we assess.
Yeah.
Going to be cognizant of those problems.
And we've got a question online. You go ahead. Oh, we can't hear you. No, we still can't hear you.
And hear this?
Oh, there we are.
Okay. So many choices. Who knows? The pilot is really suffering because of these vehicle breakdowns. Like at some point, we actually lose valid data to support our argument to keep going forward with an Ox on the Run as a regular part of the program. Is there a mitigation plan of some kind? Do we have friends, any kind of connections, partnerships with people who sell vehicles, lease vehicles, who could help us out maybe at a lower dollar? Is there a fleet manager for Oxford County who can weigh in?
We are working with County Fleet on what options we might have available. And we may bring some options back to you at the next meeting, once we've kind of see where repairs are at this point. We weren't able, we thought the suspension issue had been solved until last Thursday. So unfortunately, we weren't able to have a plan ready to go for you for this meeting cycle.
So a plan or a proposal is forthcoming then?
We will be looking at bringing something, especially once we know whether it is a ongoing issue or if it's the other side going of the vehicle. Like they fixed the right side and now it's the left. I'm not sure if it's that. And I don't believe the vehicle has necessarily had its thorough inspection yet to be able to give you those details, but that will give us some idea of whether we need to find alternatives or if we can get the vehicle up on the road again.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about Ox on the Run? Carry on, shall we?
So we also have our new Kobo e-reader lending program. We have purchased 6 Kobo Clara e-readers that we have loaded with some of the library's digital content from Libby to be able to provide that lending option, specifically with accessibility in mind for individuals. We launched this in late fall. I believe it was around the beginning or middle of December that we got everything up and running. And we currently have a hold list on those items. So 6 of them are out. All 6 are out with the last time I was able to check, which was last week, around 12 people waiting in line. So double the number that we have waiting in line for them. And we're hoping potentially to bring a staff member in to do a demonstration of them at our next meeting. They likely won't have the actual device with them because they are on loan, but we'll be able to give you more information on that, and that can show you some of the packaging we've put together for it as well.
Just the Canada Reads collection. That'll be how many kids? 8 titles. That'll be the winner of Canada Reads, or those in the running, or what are we?
The kids, let me just pull up what staff gave me. Those kits, we will have all of the copies of the books in each kit so that you can do your own Canada Reads book club.
Oh, nice.
They are doing 2 copies of each title for a total of 10 books. And I believe there are 4 Canada Reads sets that they have created. And then we will make them into traditional kits at the end of the Canada Reads. So each book will then have its own specific traditional book club kit going forward as well. And this will go along with programming being done at the Ingersoll branch to support Canada Reads. Last year they did a kind of a watch party, and this year they're looking at potentially doing pre-voting, so people have a chance to vote on their favorite. They've got some different things that they're working on to bring forward. And last year they had great support from CBC Books, so we're hoping that we'll be able to again partner with them and push content that way as well, which was helpful. So it's an exciting initiative, I think, for getting people involved. With branches and programming, our facilities review, we've been working with consultants from Monteith Brown on the facilities review. We did 2 tours of branch locations in the month of December to bring all the consultants along and see all of our locations. They're currently reaching out to the municipalities and other partners to book time to discuss with those key stakeholders. And we anticipate that draft review will be coming in April to the April. Tillsonburg branch has been having significant issues with a significant spike in incidents in January. I wrote this as of the 16th and we had 6 incident reports. I had 3 more incident reports over the weekend as well. No new people trespassed from the property this weekend, but we are seeing increases there, and most of the incidents are stemming from the use of illegal substances at this point. Talking to libraries across the province of similar size, they are seeing similar increases. So we're matching what is happening in other locations as well. Oxford Reads,
Question online.
Yeah, sorry, I don't think I understand what it means by an incident. Can is it people using drugs or wandering into the library and causing a disturbance, or?
So we put in incident reports for any time there is a property issue, something happens with staff. So somebody yells at a staff member, we might do an incident report for it, depending on. So we've had that would be the incidents. The number of incidents would be those types of reports that come forward, and then those reports will often lead to determining how to move forward if we have names of individuals for moving them forward. We have a threshold for deciding how we deal with individuals depending on what that incident and issue was. And so at this point, and then after a certain number of, if you've been involved in an incident and trespassed from the library, whenever you are allowed back in the building, if you continue to cause disturbances, then we escalate. So at this point, we have had most of the incidents happening are people in and around or in or around the building and illegal substance use. So washrooms tend to be the largest issue. Those washrooms are locked. So you have to ask for the key, receive the key, and go in and use it. It does not it's not stopping what is happening in the washroom. And then after, when you go back and give the staff back the key, the guard currently checks the washrooms.
Okay.
And decides if there's cause for concern.
And is there still security at Tillsonburg, or did that stop? I think I missed it.
There is still security at Tillsonburg.
Okay.
So
All
that's
right.
the guard that goes
That's
in and then is not in place, while they're off checking the washrooms, they're not out there where.
Well, the
other
washrooms are
things
right in
can
the
also
lobby,
happen.
so it's a single stall washroom, so you really just have to open the door to know if there's an issue.
We encountered the situation not in another public place this weekend. don't know what you do in those circumstances. How, yeah. Trespassed from the property, you mean banned? That means banned from the
Yeah.
property.
Yes, under the Trespass Act, we
That's
ban
the
individuals.
term.
And is there a term for that, like a set term time period, or is it just kind of forever and ever?
No, we have a threshold we use to be able to determine what incident, what has occurred and what our response is. So staff at any point can kick somebody out for the day if they need to. They can even say, you know, you're not allowed back for a week. Those are the kinds of things you usually do for people that, you know. I used to do it for kids, you know, you had teenagers get rowdy, you might kick them out for the day. When we get to, we have thresholds in place then for 3 months, 6 months, a year. And then if coming back from one of those longer bans, you continue to show the same behavior, then we might give you a permanent ban. A permanent ban is in place unless you request a meeting with the CEO or the branch services librarian as my designate. And we put that in place so that people who have turned things around have that opportunity to make their case and then come back, be welcome back.
I guess, do you know how staff are feeling about these increasing students? Are they feeling that the security guard is, are they feeling safe still? Is there any kind of, just with this escalation, do you think that they're still feeling, you know, comfortable going into work, or is the security guard enough for them right now?
I think it's the stress of
Yeah.
the situation. It's a stressful situation when you know your incidents are on the rise. The guard makes a huge difference in terms of dealing with the issues, that he can often deal with the issues ahead of time. He also helps spot individuals who maybe we've asked to leave to be able to mitigate some of that. But I think it's just the stress of knowing and looking at ways to put things in place. So we're also working with County Health and Safety Coordinator to look at other ways to mitigate those issues and how to respond for staff as well.
Any other questions?
It's a place to introduce this facilities review. The London Free Press has published an article saying that Zora Township Council has passed approval for 1,000 home development with a new school, commercial blocks, and housing of all varieties. And that's probably going to mean something for the library. Yeah, so as they say, it'll take decades to fill the commitment, but the developer has purchased the property and is on board, so it's coming.
So yeah, we'll be having those conversations with Zora Township. I believe I saw in my inbox that there was Zora in particular that had responded to our requests for meetings. So we'll be bringing that information forward as well. I can make sure that the consultants are aware of what has come through the London Free Press. I have passed on other things that I've noticed coming up in council agendas so that they're aware of those in order to build out that facilities plan. And the county had recently just passed their updates to the for planning purposes. So the consultants also have that data. So what we're looking at for 10-year build outs are for. And finally, we have the information on Oxford Reads. We are currently open to nominations from the public and staff until February 21st. The deadline, after that deadline, the staff from Woodstock Public Library and Oxford County Library will be narrowing this down to 5 titles. And then we begin our Oxford Reads journey once again. On the staff news, we currently are hiring for our branch services librarian to head our northern branch regions. That position works primarily out of the Tavistock branch and then reports through branches in the northern regions report through. So that is Harrington, Embro, Innerkip, Plattsville, and Princeton that report into the northern branches. Tavistock we've split because I needed 6 and 6. So they're southern branches, even though they're not quite southern. When you look at the map, they are slightly lower than Princeton. That's why they're in the southern branches. And we'll be looking at our new community liaison coordinator position, which is currently posted. This position will be leading our social media team and working closely with county strategic communications and engagement on projects to achieve our strategic goals 2.1 and 2.2. So we're excited at that position as well and working closely with communications going forward. And then we also have an opening for a new local history and digitization technician for the Ingersoll branch after the retirement of a longtime staff member. That one,
news.
I know, that one has not been posted yet. We are working through to get that posted as soon as possible. But we anticipate it will be up shortly. But those are 3 full-time positions that are kind of open in the library at this moment. I welcome any more questions or comments.
But you guys online, anything I don't want you guys to feel missed out? Okay. So we'll need a mover and seconder that the library board received report 2025-02 librarian report for information and discussion. Okay. Oh, it'd be try online. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? So moved. All right, so next up, we're looking at 2025-03 Oxford County Library Anniversary.
So through you, Chair, this information has been received by council previously in looking at the 60th year anniversary, as well as the county's 175th and 50 years after restructuring, as well as county archives celebrating their 25 years of it since inception in 2000. To commemorate those anniversaries, you probably saw the lovely banners as you walked in below. If not, please take a look at those for the county you might be interested in. If for those of you that are here, there's 3 banners for the history of the County of Oxford downstairs. There will also be a similar, I can't remember, banner pop-up, thank you. If I remember what it's called. For library services that is being currently worked on, I believe, if not already made, and I've just not seen it yet. That will be there to celebrate the anniversary for the library as well. In our plans so far, we have a local history speaker series that our Tillsonburg Library our technician is currently working on, some social media campaigns. That pop-up banner, it does say pop-up right there, with the historical milestones for the library. We'll also be working on creating a memory wall online for people to share their memories of the library. We'll be working with Strategic Communications to create a short video about the history of the library system and for a celebratory event in the fall of this year. We'll also be continuing to look at any other ways to tie our regular programming and services into our anniversary this year as well. I welcome any questions or comments.
It looked really good. I was really interested as I read through it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so fun because everybody has fond memories of when they were a kid going to the library, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, that memory wall. I'm like, oh yeah, I can remember one year it was the summer reading program and it had little boats and you would just like hang another little boat for each book that you read and it was a competition how many little boats I could get. Yeah. So I think you're gonna have lots of lovely things like that. So yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's a great way to expand what even we know about the library. So looking at that background piece that we have there, we have an entire article that's being put together right as we speak that kind of explains some of how the library has been, the history of the library, as well as the changes to the Public Library Act that made Oxford County Library possible. As well as learning more about Oxford County and the way the county developed and then restructured, and what that meant for library services.
Any other questions for this room?
I just hope I can find the information about this. I don't know, I find I have a hard time finding stuff on the library website. For one thing, it takes, like I might as well go make a cup of coffee while it loads. And then I still have to sort of know what I'm looking for to find it, but
We will make sure that we
At
can
least I'll
send
know
you out the information and events as they come up.
thank you, thank you. Holding my hand.
All right, so we need a mover and a seconder that the report 2025 titled Oxford County's Library Anniversary be received as information. Yeah, a mover and a seconder, perfect. One, great. Any further discussion? All those in favor? So moved. Okay, report 7.4, 2025-04, CAFN bequest expenditure request. Ooh, that's my, yeah, Bundles of Joy outreach program.
Thank you. Those of you who were able to attend our November meeting and heard from the Ox on the Run team, you might have heard of a similar program that they'd heard about on their trip to the conference in October. The Bundles of Joy program is their take on that. And they've been utilizing partnerships with Southwest Oxford Public Health and Oxford Early On to be able to serve newborns and families in Oxford County through this program. The initial funding request would be for $4,500 to be able to fund the beginning of the program. And I'll pause for a moment. Happy to be here.
First, big ready.
No, report 7.1. Last report, the CAFN request, expenditure request.
So this program will, we are asking for $4,500 that we believe that initial request will fund 50 to 60 families being part of the program. We provided some information for you below in the funding area to talk to what we're looking for. We're going to look for some branded totes, some social media marketing, books. So each family would get their own board book to be part of the program, as well as some other branded merchandise, and then pamphlet printing and circulation tags, things of that nature to make it possible. Through our balance request in January, we've given you there what the request would, and I have the wrong title. Forgive me. I did this twice. I had to do the math a few times because they had some changes, and I see our financial impact. I say 4,500, and then the total was 4,250. 4,250 is the request. So forgive me for that error. What we would have, you have the anticipated balance below there, and what would be left in the PEG CAFN fund should you consider this request. The program would be used to provide a 12-month delivery program to families with newborns. So at any point in that first year, you could sign up for the program and you would be getting deliveries once a month to your house with material for baby, material for parents, and potentially material for other children in the household as well as information from our partners with Early On and Southwestern Public Health to be able to provide them information as well for their services. And then as well as activities for older children. So when if we know that there are preschoolers in the household, we might be including some preschool craft activities and things for them as well. Those deliveries would be made monthly by Ox on the Run staff. Reminder notifications would go out asking people to put their items out on their front porch or near the front door in the morning, and then staff would come in, they would put it back on the porch whenever they're able to deliver. And that way people don't have to have doorbells being rung when babies are sleeping, or any other concerns that they might have with people coming to and from their house, especially cold and flu season right now. Families that participate in the program would get that 12 months and 12 bundles they receive. So, and then after that, they would be given more information, well, continually, they would be given information about other stops and branches, as well as early on program sites. But then we would welcome them to come forward into the branches after they've gone through their 12 months of service. And we've added information here. So should Ox on the Run pilot not be extended past the December 2025 and the Bundles of Joy program be continuing on, we would look to moving to a volunteer provided service similar to our current home delivery service that we provide, giving individuals who can't make it into the library material through volunteers coming in. So I welcome any questions or comments on this potential program.
I guess because we're fine free, it doesn't really matter that it's going to be a 4-week instead of a 3-week
Right.
lending.
We would
period.
we would change everything in the system anyway, so we can change the due date to adjust. We do that already for our home delivery program. So
Oh,
home
okay.
delivery customers, I believe, get a 6-week loan period. So we adjust that in the system whenever
Okay.
they come in. So, or whenever we're checking out their materials.
I think it sounds fabulous. One question. No barriers to people from the city. Sign.
We likely would have to, you would have to have an Oxford County Library card. Because we're loaning material, I think that would need to be worked out. There likely would be a barrier for people to come in and to have the service in the city of Woodstock as a result. We should not be providing outreach services to those in the city of Woodstock. They should, that would be stepping on the toes.
Do you need to build that into this?
Yes, it would be needed to be that what municipality you need to be in order to be able to receive service.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Hi. Sorry. So a couple of questions. First of all, I really love the idea. And just some practical questions. This is a little bit operational and I apologize, but that's where my brain went. When you say branded totes, do you mean plastic totes that can be washed and disinfected and reused because they're going into people's homes and who knows what in terms of infection control? So you're talking like canvas bags that are not weatherproof?
We would be looking for similar bags that we use for our current home delivery model, which is a waterproof material, like a nylon that's been treated that makes it waterproof, that is able to be used. And it we're looking, we've discovered exactly what we have already, and we'll be using that similar but having different branding on it. So
Okay.
our home delivery bags are green plaid, and we'd be probably using something maybe in a blue for this program, and potentially with different branding on it.
Okay. Then another question I have is around program logo and social media marketing. Are you proposing that you actually have a Bundles of Joy logo used?
At this point, I believe they are looking at what they would be able to do to create something, to create something that would likely involve the Ox on the Run branding at this point. Or potentially, yes, something that would have library, the Oxford County Library logo and use the Bundles of Joy piece with it. We haven't gotten to that stage other than thinking of planning on what that would.
I would love to propose that. I would love to propose we focus the branding on simply our own logo, because part of our strategic plan is to build recognition for our own logo as opposed to kind of dilute it through sub brands. So that's a suggestion. And when I look at the budget, the budget, almost the lowest part of the budget is for the actual books.
So
And
that is for individual, a singular book that would go to each home, that would be theirs to keep. The rest of it would be library material that's being loaned and transferred to them each month. So they would get a bundle of library books each month. At their
Okay.
first kit, they would receive a board book for families that would be selected by staff.
Okay, thank you, because I was thinking we need more money for the books and less money for some of the other things. But thank you for clarifying. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a great idea too. I think it's a great opportunity to just get people more involved in the library. And I think it's just inevitably going to result in more memberships or more users, more members, and bringing kids in at a young age. It's just, I don't know what could be better. So I think it's great.
Any other thoughts?
I'm just curious, have you talked to Southwest Public Health early on? So
Yes.
the nature of the material that they can provide, I'm thinking of privacy issues. Because if it's a new, like if we're kind of focusing on somebody with a newborn, then you sort of say, well, they already have a program, right, for
Right.
Southwest Public Health. So I'm just saying it's generic enough that you
Yes.
don't get caught and say, hey, how did you know that we had it? Or do they have to sign up for it?
So they would need to register for this program, but the type of material we would be providing would be maybe, maybe there's vaccine clinics that take tip for children, or what the material you get for when you reach the different stages, what's that called? The look-see? The developmental milestones, that kind of information that Southwestern Public Health often provides to new families. And then we would be providing that type of material to be able to help people know what is available from Southwestern Public Health and not necessarily targeted specifically.
Yeah, okay, I was trying to think of how we were going to kind of almost co-sponsor or mutually sponsor each other through this program, right? So I think that's great. I'm very supportive of that. The other question I would have is, I'm not sure what kind of book you use for a baby, and at what point does, at what age does a child sort of develop an interest in or want to be read to, and at what age does mother or father want to read to them, but what age, and if this is their first book sort of thing, what age should it be aimed for?
So our baby programs start when you can come as soon as you're ready.
Right out of the hospital.
Yeah,
You could go to a baby program. Those baby programs and the books are our board books, so, can be gnawed on if necessary, and do get gnawed on. But a lot of the programming and reading is helping to get parents used to and ready for it. So they're starting that with baby very early. It gets them more comfortable doing it, and it helps to be able to offer that to babies young. They're not necessarily going to see the books right away. They're not going to necessarily respond in the same way,
Nope.
but it helps the parent gain that confidence in reading to their child. And often what we would probably include in a package like this might be a paper that gives nursery rhymes to go do with your baby, or a paper that provides some of the songs we would sing in a baby story time for your child as well. Ways to use kitchen equipment to be able to sing and do things with baby. And we'll work with early on in some of that as well, to be able to say what they do in their programs, as they often do a lot of programming towards that early age group as well.
So from my perspective, first of all, I'm fully supportive, but to me, the greatest benefit of this would be that collaboration between early on Southwest and full disclosure, it's not Southwest board. So I probably have a bit of a conflict of interest here, but anyways, I see that as being kind of the real value, is how do we actually help each other so that they know when early on there, they know when the children programs are at the library, and they also know that, this is the number you call for when I got a question about the babies. The other question I had was, you said one book. I get pretty bored of reading the same book.
Yeah, there would be.
I know there's a bundle.
Bundle of
every
extras.
time, but the keeping, I would sort of say, well, maybe, at month 1, you get a book, and then maybe at month 6, you get like a second book or something. And I just think I would get, well, kids get bored, but I mean, we're talking about kids that are not going to get bored with books because they don't even know what you're saying here. But anyway, it's just a thought. Fully supportive, and I think would have been too. So if you want a motion, I'd be more than happy to move it.
We got one more question online. You fire away.
Okay, couple of thoughts in terms of partnerships, hospitals, midwives, and local clinics and family physicians might be a way to go. And the other is for posters that are multi-language, because the people you're trying to reach may not have English as their first language. So it might some thought perhaps into some different languages on those posters that you might put up or social media to reach those groups. Thanks.
Does that open a discussion then on, do you get for the book you are going to keep, do you get any choice, like it's English or French or?
I think for our
Just
pilot
go to
program, we
English.
would probably provide mostly a singular title that everyone receives. And then with feedback that we receive from families after the initial group goes through, I think that would give us the opportunity to determine if we.
It'll be an interesting title. What is that? One perfect book.
So would you see the ongoing costs being?
Once we see the how many families we're able to get up and running with the program, I think we might need some ongoing adding more totes potentially to be able to continue to serve. The cost of the books and materials, which would be covered under our programming supply budget easily. And then from that list of everything else we have, we might need to do some regular social media marketing when we notice that things had gone down, like our numbers had gone down slightly, but the rest of it, and maybe, I guess, branded merchandise, but those are all things that would be easily covered within our regular budget going forward once we knew what we were doing and had kind of the way the branding is going to look, what the product is that we're going to purchase. We could easily put that into our regular operating budget going forward.
So today, are you looking for actually permission to use the money,
Yes.
permission to go ahead with the program? Or is this, well, this is the idea and we will bring back?
So this is permission to use the funding for the program, and at this point, we would likely need to revamp the program if we didn't. If we didn't receive the funding, then we would look at revamping the program to bring it in under $1 million.
So what I was wondering about is it coming back when we see the final tote, or is it, it's ready to go to the first door, or?
We can definitely bring it back for.
Well, I'd be interested to just see the tote at some point, but it doesn't have to be before they are delivered. But I was thinking about, I probably differ a little bit with Cynthia on how it would promote it. Like, I think the idea of this is a program under the or of the library, so I tend to sort of see the Connect Share become whatever Oxford County Library is, kind of the sub logo, and this is the, whether it be Auction and Run or whether it be Bundles of Joy or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what communications had in mind currently with it. We asked for something that would identify it as Bundles of Joy, but I don't think they haven't gone forward. So it could be the logo with the wording above it, or whatever our designer comes up with in the end, that would not water down our current logo, our current branding in order to bring it forward, but more enhance and highlight the service in particular.
But I would leave it up to communications because they probably know a lot more about this than I ever will.
Yes, me as well.
Good caretaker.
Any other questions? So we'll need a mover and a seconder.
No, so moved.
No, I gotta make sure that, and we want to make sure that the number is right.
So it would be 2,000, yes.
Yeah, so the report 2025-04 titled CAFIN Request Expenditure Request Bundles of Joy Outreach Program be approved for $4,250.
Yes,
You
Okay.
sure that's enough?
yes. I increased it based on what staff gave me.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
And a seconder, please. Perfect. Any further discussion? Any? Okay, all those in favor? So moved. Okay. All right, moving along, number 8, unfinished business. Number 9, any motions? 10, notice of motions. 11, inquiries.
Yeah, I have not so much an inquiry to comment, that I spoke to Lisa Marie and Julia about is that I will be starting a new job in April, which will conflict with the 1 o'clock Tuesday meetings, unfortunately. So I proposed to Lisa Marie and Julia if the board would like to try to find another time that would be suitable for me to join, I'd be happy to do that, and I'd be happy to give times. I know it's not ideal because I'm, already came in late and to the board and we're halfway through our term, but if it's not gonna work, then I will be prepared to step down if that is what has to happen. But ultimately, I would be available after 3 o'clock every weekday. So no, it's not ideal for everybody, but I will leave that with, I'm not sure how everybody would like to proceed, or if we want to bring it back when Councillor Petrie's here as well, or send a message out to him to discuss scheduling, but that's where I'm at, so.
So after 3 o'clock, you're available here?
I'm
or available online?
Yeah, so I'm available in Ingersoll at 3 o'clock, basically, so I could join via Zoom at 3, here at 3:30-ish, 3:40-ish, but or I could do a mixture of both, right? If the meeting was to, it'll be semi-flexible where I'd be able to leave 10-15 minutes early if I had to, once a month. But so basically 3 o'clock, I could join virtually at 3, I would say, so.
So I know what Councillor Petrie would say. He would say he would rather find a new time than find a new Megan. And I would suggest that maybe the chair and Lisa Marie come up with a time. I'm willing to work with whatever you do. I have council at 6:30 on Tuesdays. Like third Tuesday. Other than that. First Wednesday and third Tuesday are not good for me, but other than that, I'd love to change.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, if we could have it like at 4 to 5:30 or 6 and look for something. Not at the zoo expense. Or somebody could bring us up, right? I know Julia's a sick.
Full of ideas.
Looking at me.
You want another 1,000? I got 'em.
And I'm open to later. I'm open to later. So I'd be happy to do later.
Thank you.
I guess the only other question would be about staff. And, it's difficult to get staff to not show up for work like early and stay late, but maybe they could start a little later that day and then you could stay till 5.
What time does this building normally close at?
5. Like, I think customer service is open till 4:30, but I don't think the door is actually locked till 5.
Earlier is better for me than later, but it's once a month and with notice, things can be flexible.
The other one, something I would wonder about is, would it be then better? Because people can meet virtually, but when you look kind of the group here, would in fact meeting in Ingersoll, they have a meeting, it's not always booked. But that'd be actually better both for Megan, but frankly, it'd be better for me, it'd be better for Brian, it'd be better for you. And probably for Laura as well. That'd be closer than Woodstock. I said. It wouldn't be so good for Cynthia, I guess, that would be good.
I'm happy to attend virtually, really.
We would need to look at their room availability.
Yeah.
This room is booked for this time as well, for the year, so we would need to also look at those arrangements and look at availability of space, whether it be here or at the Ingersoll branch. And we can then put forward, would a poll of times be potentially helpful and to determine
Sure.
what
Yeah.
options we have and what would work best with everyone's schedule? Okay.
Yeah.
So staff will put that together and hopefully get something maybe before the February meeting. So at the February meeting, any changes could be voted on.
Yeah, we can put it as an agenda. And like you said,
Sorry for this weakness, but
Well,
can't.
congratulations on.
I thank you. Yes, I can't unfortunately when you're starting a new job, after I'm about to time off, so.
I suppose that we would start by looking at the third Wednesday of the month. I don't know what that is for other things. I'm just trying to say, the more we can nail it down when we're all sitting here, probably the better.
the third Wednesday at 3, I think.
3:30 or something in Ingersoll.
Yeah, if it's in Ingersoll, I can be there for free, really. It's a 1-minute drive, 2-minute drive to get there from where I will be, so.
In my schedule is flexible, I work shift work, so. it's fine.
And my first, I'll be good to go until my first week that would be interrupted is April, the month, or first month that I will be starting. So February and March, I'm good to be here still.
Agree with Councillor Petrie and his non-existence.
I know it's
Like to be flexible because I think you're a great addition to the board. So
hard to bring someone on again, 3/4 of the way through, right? So.
yeah, it seems like a great place to start on Wednesday, third Wednesday at 3:30, and maybe we'll put out some other dates so that feelers help with everyone.
We'll look at our room availability both here and in Ingersoll, and then see what's available for that timeframe and put a few other dates potentially together if needed as well.
And we're expecting the start date is April, not March, or
Yeah, if
Yeah,
that's fine.
since we've already got this room booked for
Yes.
the next couple of months, might as well use it.
Unless,
This is gonna be one of the first ones, and I think they're
Yes.
planning on starting end of March.
end of March? Okay, so we may want to make the adjustment for the March meeting, if possible.
We'll be here for March and then we won't be here. You said the end of.
End of March,
Yeah.
whatever that means, like, I'm sure that
By then,
hard
we,
date is yet to
hopefully we would
determine.
have yeah. We could look at beginning in March, if necessary, and
Yep.
definitely
as
by
well.
April, yeah.
Any other inquiries? Okay. Great. I guess we're adjourned until next meeting is February the 18th, 1 o'clock here. 18th?
yeah. 18th is the third.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, it's after the holiday.
Right, yeah, Friday holiday, right.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking 18th. Tuesday. Yeah, that's fine.
I need to move right sector. Yes, please, we can move right sector. Okay, perfect. All those in favor? Perfect, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Just, remind